Welcome to the Pointy End. I'm Keith Sutherland. Today my guest is City of Greater Bendigo Councillor, Councillor Rod Campbell. Welcome, Rod.
Great to be with you, Keith.
Now, firstly, I have to congratulate you on an outstanding term, 2 terms as Councillor, 1 term as Mayor. What you have been able to achieve, particularly with some difficulties, has just been outstanding. What you and Alison as ambassadors to our city is just really honourable, and I want to say that sincerely. You've done a fantastic job. You brought a whole new approach to council. It's been a conciliatory approach. It's been one of knowledge and understanding of the subject. So I'm so sorry to see that you're going to retire, but we'll talk about all the reasons why. So firstly, I just wanted to say that to you because you've been an outstanding councillor.
Well, that's very kind and generous of you to say that, Keith.
Well, it's
and,
insincere.
I've really enjoyed the whole of my experience with council. It's a real privilege to be a councillor. It's not a right. And I've enjoyed that privilege immensely, and I really enjoyed every year of being a councillor, especially my year as Mayor. It's been a marvellous experience, and I've really enjoyed helping people. I like getting to the facts. I've enjoyed the challenges of striking the balances, dealing with a range of people, and people out there are jolly good. You know, I have no trouble with people. They're very good, and I must thank the public for the support they've given me in my term.
Was the time right to not nominate again this time around? We'll come to some of the number of people that we've got, but was the timing right, or is there another reason why you've decided that now is that perfect time for you to step down and leave it to somebody else?
Keith, is the time ever right? And I suppose at the moment, look, frankly, you know a bit about my health issues. When I joined the council, I'd only been there a week and I got this terrible thing called Guillain-Barré, and they rushed me off to hospital and I made a good recovery. And then again, I had another incident, a very life-threatening incident in 2010, and you know, it has taken its toll. My body has been talking to me. It hasn't been saying particularly nice things. And one of the whispers I got was right at the end, only a short time ago, it said to me, I don't think you can really do it justice for 4 years at the level at which you're going. So I've had to listen, and that's what we've decided, and I think that, well, yes, in a way. But look, other ways it's about refreshing the council too. I'm quite comfortable with that. I think all organisations need refreshment. New ideas are good, and we do need new ideas. It's always good for an organisation to have diversity and new, fresh thinking. And so we need really, ideally, a mix of some of the older heads and some new people to get a good outcome, just like any organisation, Keith.
Regeneration is the lifeblood of all sorts of industry, business, council, the whole lot. So it is, and I actually said to Councillor Rod Fife as Mayor, and I said, well, if I was going to stand against him, I wouldn't win because he's been there for a long time, there's popularity, but at the end of the day, you've still got to be making a contribution. You have to make that decision because it's not just you. You've had to do it with Alison all the way through because of your disability, I guess, and so it's been a difficult thing, but you and Alison have given so much of your time and energy and to the benefit of this community, I dare say. Some of the, you've had 8 years on council to look back over that period of time and you look at it. What do you see of your achievements? Okay, that term as Mayor has to be one of them, but what do you see in that period of time is probably one of the great achievements? And on the other, conversely, I'll ask you, what do you see as the things that weren't so good? But firstly, talk about what you saw of the benefits and what you think you've been able to achieve as that period of time of those 8 years.
Yes, well, I'm not a person who's about me. I didn't
All right,
come
let's
to
talk about council.
So I came to the council thinking about the people. So it's not about me. It's not about my achievements. It's about what has Bendigo achieved and what part have I played in that. And I'd like to think, without putting too many medals around, that I've made my strong contribution to the council in the way in which I've been able to do that. I've deliberated carefully about the decisions that had to be made. I've endeavoured to get good information before making decisions. I've acted responsibly with my team members. I've informed myself. I've consulted well with people. I enjoy listening to people, very important. All councillors have to be good listeners. And so I'm not about any one achievement. I didn't go to the council saying, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. What I did say to people who I spoke to before running to council is that I'll be going in there and giving my best for the people of this city, for the longer term benefit of this city. Now I think if you look at what's been achieved in the 8 years that I've been, had the pleasure of being on council, the council's achieved an enormous amount. Cannot be underestimated the great things that have been done for this city. You know, in buildings, well, you know what they are. They're some of the larger projects. You look at the car park here. We pulled up in the car park. $16 million, that project. People were wobbling in their shoes. Why would you do that? I haven't heard too many complaints. We pull up there, it's terrific, right in the middle of the city, and the council did it with ratepayer money, with resident money. They didn't do that with government money, that was done with resident money. And you have a look at the QEO, you look at the Diagum Sand, you look at the library, you look at the wonderful art gallery, you look at our wonderful roads, our wonderful parks, you have a look at all of the wonderful projects that have been undertaken, and these have continued. And if you had to build them today and you had to go back and get the money to build them today, it could be frightening, the initial cost of those projects. Now, take the car park up there. Within 3 or 4 years, maybe 5, that will have paid for itself because the tenants will have paid for the cost of the building. This is clever planning, and this is what we've been able to achieve. And the council is not to my credit, but I played a part in those decisions, and I'm very proud of that. And even in recent times, Keith, we've continued to build things that are of lasting benefit to our community. The Alhambra Theatre, people were very apprehensive about that, and perhaps I could understand some apprehension. Are we overindulging? But look at the attendances. Look at the success of that project. And guess what? Most of the money came from the federal government. A significant part also came from our state government colleagues and friends. And then the council put in, what, 3 or 4 million into a $25 or $6 million project. Now that's what I call collaborative, real success. And that's all level governments working together. And I think that's wonderful. These things don't just happen. They have to be planned. There's a lot of discussion goes in behind the scenes before all these things are achieved. And I'm just talking about buildings, Keith. And you have a look at the coming tennis centre, have a look at the stadium building. That's a massive building. Now, it's not all council's work. There's a lot of, in the stadium's case, they're putting a lot of money in. But the residents of this city own these premises. You have a look at the new proposed swimming centre. Whatever you might think about that, that's going to be of lasting benefit to our community. And all of these projects, and they just keep coming, are enormous benefit. And then if you have a look at the strategic work that the council has done, it's enormous. Even just in the last couple of months, we've had projects like the housing strategy, so important for Bendigo. Our environmental strategy, so key to Bendigo. And going back, I was very proud to be the chair of the Integrated Transport and Land Use Strategy Steering Committee. That's a wonderful piece of strategic work that's going to guide our city into the future, much like the Bendigo residential strategy, which has gone through a process and it's going to really change our city into the future. We're going to have a compact city.
I just want to pick you up on one of the points you made there. Basically, that you mentioned about the strategies and a lot of things going on. There seems to be a bit of misunderstanding. We've had 5 directors leave in the last 18 months. Now, you talk about there's been a continuity of all these things that have happened. Why is it that we've had that? And I put that to Craig Neiman a couple of months ago. He said, oh, well, it's regeneration, it's change and so on. But 5 to leave. So you talk about council, we've had basically, you're saying the old with the new coming on this time around the election, but all the directors have moved on. We've got a whole lot coming in, so it's perhaps not a good look. I wouldn't have thought.
Well, it's not just about appearances. We're about the actual outputs. Perceptions are one thing, reality another. And the reality is, regardless of whether the council has been changing, we've had changes in councillors, we have changes in staff. And this is all pretty normal business. I agree that it might seem unusual that we've had five directors, but there has been some restructure done in the organisation, as you'd be aware.
Come back to 4.
And this is reflecting community values. This is reflecting the change, the change in which the situation is at the moment, the way in which we're moving forward, a contemporary approach to management. I'm sure that's been considered with all of those changes. Now, with that, there's the normal progress. People come and they go. They take the opportunities they see, just as you would have in your life, Keith. They see the opportunity, they go and take their qualifications, and they have some fresh ground and turn over new ground. And that's important for them, and it's important for our residents as well. We want fresh thinking, not only on the council, but I'm pleased to see some renewal in our management too, because that's a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mentioned before about we've talked about the positive, and I don't disagree with all those achievements, and you've been lucky enough in that 8 years to see enormous growth and all sorts of areas, strategies, a whole lot. On the negative side, I've been a council watcher, as you know, for many, many years. On the negative side, I have to say I've never probably seen such a divided council as we've got now. I'll clarify that by saying the majority of you get on very well council meetings, but there's 2 or 3, whatever, happens at council meetings where there's a differing of opinion, and it's constant, and it's the same sort of people, councillors, at every meeting, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of harmony in there. Once it seemed like, you'd all get on so well. Now there just doesn't seem to. There seems to be friction with, one group, the majority, get on well, and there's the minority don't get on, don't seem to be working together cohesively as a team. It's my perception, and I'm putting those words out there. So I'd just like you to comment on that.
Again, I think it's a matter of perception. I don't doubt that from where you sit, you may see some differences of opinion, and but I still think I disagree that there hasn't been good outcomes. I'd say there's been very good outcomes.
I'm not saying outcomes, I'm just saying in
I
council.
think when local government is local government, it's democracy, and in a democratic process, you don't get to pick the people on your team. They arrive, and you get what you've got, and you make the most of what you have. And with that, in local government, you have different people from different backgrounds with different ideas, and that's a good thing. Sometimes there may be situations where there are differences of opinion where people might not give a good impression maybe, but at the end of the day, the thing that really counts from the ratepayer's viewpoint isn't just perceptions. That's important too in terms of how the region is perceived. Are we a harmonious council? Very important for that perception to be a good one. But you have to take it as it is, and you work with what you've got. And our council's achieved a great outcome, regardless of the personalities that are on it. I think it behoves us all to work well with our colleagues. I think all councils should adopt a professional approach to their work. It's very important that we can put down our differences after the decisions have been made. Now that may not be easy for some, it may be hard for others, I don't know. But at the end of the day, I think I'm very proud of the work that the council's done. I agree that there has been some differences of opinion, and look, it's not always good, but at the end of the day we have to look at, have we achieved or haven't we, and I'd say we have.
Coming back to the perceptions, and basically it can't all be that bad, because I've never seen so many candidates standing, particularly in your ward of Epilogue. You've got 15, 16, and the number keeps growing. I don't know what the final list is, but so it can't be all that bad. It either means that people want change, or whether they think that they can help to progress this city, because there has been enormous achievement over a long period of time. But Yeah. Is there any reason, do you think, why there are so many applicants, particularly in your ward? It just seems to be never ending.
Well, yes, so you have to ask yourself...
Perhaps do you need so many to cover you when you go? Maybe that's the
Well,
reason.
I wasn't going to say it, Keith. No, the reality is that it is good to see people putting up their hand. I do get disappointed with people who have lots to say and then aren't prepared to put their hand up. That's one thing that does disappoint me. Now, I know that's their choice, but you do see it a bit, and that's disappointing, because I think you've really got to be in the tent doing, you've got to be doing the work. And the one place to do it is in the council. Join the council and have your say and participate, understand the business of the business really from within, and then I think you're in a good position to be able to comment. But I think the issue of how many people stand for each other, we'll be very interested to see, as at the 20th of this month, just who we've got and what they stand for. I encourage voters to inquire of their candidates, just what they're going to be bringing to the table. It may be diversity, that's a good thing, but what are they going to be able to contribute to the long-term value of our city? Will they get the balances right? Do they have the capacity? They may not have it all now, all the knowledge, but do they have the capacity? These are good questions for people to ask. Are they single issue type people? I'd be nervous about people who are single issue, because you need to have some reasonably wide thinking, I think. So these are things that I think need to be brought to the table. Diversity is a good thing. Epilogue, well, it's always been a popular ward, hasn't it? Is this because people feel it's a good opportunity to get into council? I'm not sure. We are a progressive ward. I'm not a person who's into wards, I'm into the city as a whole. That's how I like to think about the city. That doesn't mean that I'm disrespectful of the needs of people in my ward, of course not. And I've worked in 2 different epilogue wards, one where I was the single councillor for a much bigger ward but less urban, and now in recent times, in the last 4 years, as part of a 3-person team. Yep. And that's an interesting argument too, but why are they all applying for epilogue? Well, I think maybe they all live there, maybe they think it's easier to get into epilogue, I'm not sure.
Finally, so what's the future for Rod and Alison? Is your health okay to sort of, I know you probably can't do as many things as you'd like to do, but what's the future for you two? Because you've given your all for Bendigo over that period of time, so yeah, what happens to you from here on? Because this has been stimulating for you. You've had a background of local government all your working life pretty much, and then continuing on as a councillor. So what happens from here on in for you?
Yes, so...
and of course, Alison.
Well, there's a backlog of things that I've let...
Going to write a book, are you, or something?
Well, there's a few projects and things that I've got that are built up, and I need to get to those. I've been putting council work as a higher priority, and I just don't think I can continue at the level I've worked for another 4 years because of my health reasons. Unfortunately, I just have to be a realist. I try to be a realist. So that's why now there are, I think, I am an optimist. I don't believe in being pessimistic, and I think, but I'm a realist. So I think one door closes, another door opens, and I think I'll try to be finding ways in which I can use my mind in an active and fertile way in the future, so I can use my mind creatively for the benefit of other people. There's still opportunities out there, and I think with my knowledge and experience, who knows? So I'm very optimistic. I must say, as we're doing this interview and there'll be public watching, I do want to record my thanks to my wife, who has been a tower of strength. I was reflecting the other day of the 8 years that I've been in council. She's been driving me around for 7. The first 2 years my eyes were so bad as a result of the illness that I couldn't see. I got glasses for the year I was mayor and got my licence for that year, but I haven't been able to drive for 7 out of the 8 years. She's been driving to all the meetings, and she's an absolute gem.
And she's an angel.
She is, yeah. So I want to record that.
And we all acknowledge that, because the two of you have given so much for you all, for Bendigo, and you've also brought so many other things to the table, disabilities and things like this that people probably didn't understand, but you brought a lot of those issues to the table, which has made council and Bendigo a better place for your period of time on that council.
Actually, this afternoon I'm chairing the first meeting of the Disability Inclusion Reference Committee. I'm very excited about that because we have people with real disabilities on the committee advising of what the needs of people with disabilities are. And this is the first time in Bendigo. Just another good thing that Bendigo's done. Just like, you know, a whole raft of things that Bendigo City has done. This committee will stand up for people in Bendigo, be a really solid advocate, have a proper place about inclusion in our society. And it's a delight to be chairing that one this afternoon.
Well, thank you so much for appearing on the point, Ian. Really appreciate it. I wish you both well for the future, and your contribution, as I said before, has been outstanding. And I certainly look forward to seeing what the next phase of the Campbell's life is in the future. So thank you for appearing on the program.
Thanks very much, Keith, and you do a pretty good job yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you.